pastimes of Krishna? What is actually my relationship to Krishna? What is my rasa to Krishna? All these details, they will come at some point. You know. So, yeah, in the beginning it's okay to just have a general idea, but then the more we progress, the more we like to know more detail. Yeah, like that. But it's to know about the goal is always good and it's important. Is it already running? No. Okay. Okay, good. Should I give a little summary of what we spoke, or maybe we do that? Just 1 second. Any other questions on this topic? Yes.
These stages of Bhakti you mentioned, are these stages prominent stages, or the jiva can fluctuate between?
Okay, very good question. Are these stages that we described? Maybe we can go back to them. Oops, that's the wrong direction. So here we have the stages again. Yeah, can a jiva go up and down, or is it kind of, how does it work? Is it step by step? It does start, with faith, and we associate with sadhus, with devotees, and then we start the practice, and by practice the heart gets purified, and then the higher stages come. But the interesting thing is that even in the beginning, because like ruchi or attachment to Krishna, these are very high stages. But we all have some attachment to Lord Nrsimhadev, isn't it? No, when we go to the Lord, when you go in front of the altar, wow, the Lord looks so beautiful, and I like to see the Lord. So we have some attachment to Krishna. Also, we have some taste. Otherwise, why would we sit here? No, we like Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness gives us some taste, some happiness. So although we are not at a stage of ruchi, because at the stage of ruchi, we have a real taste in whatever we do. We have a full taste in Krishna consciousness. We are not yet there, but we have some taste. We don't have really attachment to Krishna, but we have some attachment. And an example that can be given, if the sun is rising, or just like before the sun rises, we can't see the sun yet, but it already becomes, the darkness disappears and there is light. And maybe somewhere in the horizon we can see slightly something is coming up. So we're not seeing the sun yet, but still there is light. So similarly, we have some ruchi, but we have not yet attained the level of ruchi, right? That would be too much to say that we are on the level of ruchi, because we don't have that. But we have some, so we get some glimpses. So even on the lower stages, we already get some glimpses of the higher stages. And to some degree, we also have developed them. But we are not. But a jiva is not established on that level. Yeah. And of course, if and we will talk about this also while we go on this on this journey, if we do some mistakes, if we commit offenses, for example, we can also fall down from a higher stage. That's there. Yeah. So we have to be careful. Does that answer? Gave a little overview of why Madhurya Kadambini is an important book, because it gives us some roadmap. Also, we spoke about the Mangala Charan, which is a very beautiful analogy of how a Mahaprabhu is compared to a cloud which showers mercy, and how the whole book is actually meant to shower mercy on the reader, and it will nourish our dry heart, which is dried up by lusty desires, material desires, and by the shower mercy of Mahaprabhu, then again Bhakti can grow in our heart. And we gave some overview on how Madhurya Kadambini is connected to the Srimad Bhagavatam, and how originally it's from Mahaprabhu's teaching. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave teachings to Rupa Goswami. Rupa Goswami wrote Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, and from 2 shlokas, Vishnava Chakravarti Thakur writes a whole book on Madhurya Kadambini. Okay, so that's what we discussed so far. Now, Srila Vishnava Chakravarti Thakur then brings up a very interesting question in his introduction, and that's the second part we will discuss for the remaining time we have. So that's part of the question that arises here is the nature of bhakti. How does bhakti appear in the heart of the conditioned soul? So before Srila Vishnava Chakravarti Thakur takes us on the journey of devotion, he's raising this question. How does bhakti begin? Okay, in the beginning we need faith, it's said, shraddha, but where do we get that faith from? Or why is it that people have faith and some don't have faith? You know, there's I don't know how many 5-6 billion people on the planet, and only a few. What Chakravarti Thakur brings that up. Any idea? Yes.
Maybe to demonstrate that God is also the most just person, just in the sense of impartial.
Okay, to show that Krishna is impartial. We'll talk about that, how that works. Okay. Why could it be important to know how bhakti starts? Yes. Okay, if you want to go on that path, we need to know the initial steps. Yes, of course you could argue, well, we are already on the path. But yeah, if someone who is completely new, he needs to know how to start. Yeah.
Also for those who are already on the path, maybe like you, already more advanced devotees, to how to facilitate this process for others.
Yes,
who has no bhakti and
right.
They would like to share.
For preaching purposes, if we want to bring other souls to the path, then it's good to know how bhakti begins. Yes, and also for us if you know the dynamics, then we also know how things move on further on the further steps. Now, it's quite interesting. Srila Vishnava Thakur, he basically starts a dialogue with himself. No, he presents that's part of the beginning of the book. He has a dialogue with himself, and he says, "Okay, how does bhakti start? How could bhakti start?" And he gives different reasons. And the first is, I think it is by good fortune. It says, "Bhagavan Shiva." No, if by good fortune someone comes in contact with devotees, so good fortune must be the beginning of bhakti. And also the Srimad Bhagavatam actually confirms this. There it is said, Yatrichaya matakato jata shradhastu ya pumam na nirvano nito shakto bhakti yogo syarsidhadha. This is from Bhagavatam 11:28. If somehow or other, by good fortune, one develops faith in hearing and chanting my glories, such a person, being neither disgusted with nor very much attached to material life, should achieve perfection through the path of loving devotion to me. So this is from the Uddhava Gita, and Krishna makes the point here that if by good fortune one develops faith, because okay, we say Shraddha is the beginning, it starts with Shraddha. By good fortune, if someone has good fortune, then one will start to develop faith, and then the path of bhakti begins. Do you agree? Bhagavatam says, right? Yes? Very good. Yes, that's the next question. But then, okay, the cause is good fortune, but what is the cause? What is the cause of good fortune then? You know, and you could argue, and then Vishnava Chakravarti he writes, do material pious activities, Shubha karma, cause good fortune? Because that's usually what is, like good fortune is created by karma, by good activity. If you're pious, you get good fortune. If you're impious, you get bad result and bad fortune. So if one assumes that bhakti comes from good fortune caused by pious activity, this means bhakti is dependent on material karma. And that cannot be, doesn't make sense, no? You have to be a pious person. If you're a pious person, then you get good fortune, and then if you have good fortune, then you get bhakti. No. No, someone does some yajna, someone does some tapasya, someone does good activity, help people, and therefore, because he is very good, very pious, then he gets good fortune, and then good fortune, he gets bhakti. No. So then, if it's not, sometimes we also say, yeah, it's because we have practiced in previous lives, no? And then, but why did we practice in previous life? Because we practiced in previous lives. But yeah, it's kind of, where does it actually start? Where does bhakti comes from? Mm-hmm. So then?
Und das ist so eine Überzeugungskraft, wo ich vorher dann ein bisschen gezweifelt habe so, und dann arrangiert er Dinge, die hundertprozentig von ihm arrangiert sind.
So
und das hat mich unwahrscheinlich überzeugt.
So you say that Krishna's arrangements, you could feel that Krishna makes arrangements in your life, and Krishna appears in your life in different ways, and this gave you faith, right? So we could, in other words, and this is also what Srila Vaishnava Chakravarti Thakur says, that, well, maybe the cause of bhakti is the Lord's mercy. No, it's Krishna's mercy that we actually receive. It's Krishna's mercy that we get bhakti. So, but let's say we say that it's the Lord's mercy, but there is a problem also here. What is the problem?
Why does the Lord distinguish who to give mercy and
Yes, it's Krishna says that he's impartial. He's God. He's equal to everyone. He's kind to everyone. He's full of compassion. If bhakti comes from Krishna, then why not everyone gets bhakti? Everyone should floating in the ocean of mercy and bhakti, because Krishna wants to give everyone mercy. But it says that Krishna he's equal, he's impartial. So this is also addressed. If one proposes that the cause of bhakti is the Lord's mercy, then one must find the cause of that mercy. And if you say, so if we say that the cause of bhakti is the Lord's unqualified nirupadi mercy, if this mercy is causeless, however, one should observe the Lord giving bhakti equally everywhere. Since this is not seen, it would then imply the fault of partiality on the part of the Lord. Thus, the causeless mercy of the Lord is also unacceptable as the cause of bhakti. Because, otherwise there is a fault. Krishna gives bhakti. So then, Vaishnava Chakravarti Thakur comes to the conclusion, the cause of bhakti is the devotee's mercy. Basically what happens, Krishna delegates, the distribution of mercy is delegated to his devotees. Krishna delegates that service to his devotees. And then his devotees, they are, on behalf of Krishna, they are distributing mercy. And the devotees, they decide where to go, and they can help some to begin their journey. But then isn't the devotee also equal to everyone? Does it mean that the devotee is impartial? He's favoring some and doesn't favoring others? a devotee is equal to everyone, but still, as a Madhyam Adhikari, a preacher, although equal to everyone on the ultimate spiritual platform, he also makes distinctions, and therefore he goes out into the world and he finds people who are receptive for bhakti. That's the point, no? Like the devotee wants to give mercy to everyone, but then he also has to discriminate, who is actually able to receive that mercy. And that's what the devotee is doing. He discriminates, and in this way, he gives that mercy. But an interesting, the next question is then, but what causes the devotee to give that mercy to others? What is the cause that the devotee wants to share bhakti with others? His compassion, yes. His compassionate heart, yes. Any other proposal? Yes, his own bhakti. And this is described like this. The Lord, being subservient to his devotee, svabhakta vasyata, lets his mercy flow, the mercy of his devotee. But even accepting the devotee's mercy is the cause of bhakti, still the cause of that mercy is bhakti itself, residing within his heart. Without the devotee having bhakti, there is no possibility of him giving mercy to others. Bhakti causes the devotee's mercy, which causes bhakti in another person. Bhakti causes manifesting independent nature of bhakti is thus concluded. Yeah. This is very beautiful, no? Bhakti causes bhakti, because bhakti is fully independent. Bhakti actually is a spirit. It's a completely spiritual energy. It's from the Swarup Shakti of Krishna. It's entirely pure spiritual, and it's nothing that causes bhakti other than bhakti itself. So, bhakti causes bhakti, and this is also confirmed. It says that, like the Lord, his non-different internal potency, bhakti, is self-manifesting and independent of any material cause. Devotion service to the transcendental Lord is causeless and uninterrupted, as the Bhagavatam also says. It means that devotional service has no material cause. It's not caused by anything material. And yeah, I think that's also, this is important for us as a preacher also to understand. I mean, first of all, as devotees, because we all know how did we progress in spiritual life by associating with devotees, no? Because we associated with devotees and we were attracted by the association of these devotees, by the devotion of these devotees. We also have developed that devotion. It comes through a devotee. So bhakti in the heart of the devotee impels them to give bhakti to others. Here we see a brahmachari preaching to a nice bhakta in the temple. And then we already mentioned that I like these pictures because you have here the full heart, the brahmachari, like the full shaved off, and then you have this gentleman. So, why does bhakti not manifest in all people? Because the preacher, he discriminates. He sees who is able to receive, and then of course it depends also on the receptivity of the person whom bhakti is being offered. Not everyone is able to receive. So Keshav Maharaj, in his presentation, he summarized it up in this form. So we have devotee. The devotee is the carrier of bhakti. And he gives bhakti to others. And then on the side we have this explanation. Bhakti impels the devotee to give it to others. But why to some and not others? Because the Madhyamadikari discriminates. And then also there is the reception of the jivas. That's not diva, it's jiva. Oops. That's a spelling mistake. The jiva. Yes? Yeah, that's an interesting question. Okay, we spoke about how bhakti is caused by bhakti and it comes from a devotee. But then the question comes up about, okay, who is receptive to receive that bhakti? And then the question could come up, well, does it depend on piety to be able to receive? And of course, if someone is a pious person, it's more likely that the person will accept devotional service if someone is unpious. In general, we could say. And the word here is used agyata sukriti. Sukriti. The word sukriti in general means piety or something we have received through good deeds. And agyata sukriti means unknowingly we have done something pious. But there is different forms of sukriti. There is karma unmukhi sukriti, there is jnana unmukhi sukriti, and there is bhakti unmukhi sukriti. That means, for example, karma unmukhi sukriti is that in one life you have done some pious activity. I don't know, you have helped, you have give some donation to open a hospital, and then as a result, in the next life, you will be very healthy. You don't have any health problems. Why? Because you have done some good, some pious activity, and as a result, you enjoy good health. Or jnana unmukhi, bhakti unmukhi sukriti means that somehow or other you came in touch with devotion, and then somehow or other by coming in touch with devotion, unknowingly you you got some sukriti or some good fortune by the contact with devotion, and as a result, in the next life, you're eligible to receive sadhusanga. So the result of unknowingly getting in touch with devotion means that you get sadhusanga, and then in that sadhusanga, you get bhakti. So that's how it is described. And this is interesting, or also important for us. That's why we are a preaching mission. That's why we are preaching. Because when we go out and chant the holy name, so many people hear the chanting of Hare Krishna. They might like it, they might not like it. They might take it, may they show some interest, but may not show interest. But there we put some seed in their heart, in a sense of they are all getting some agyata sukriti, because they're in touch with devotion. And by that connection with devotion, either later in their life or in the next life, they will get the chance to associate with devotees. And when they get a chance to associate with these devotees, then their bhakti can start, because they get in touch with devotees. So that's why, like sometimes we go on Harinam and not so many people are there, or we think, oh, it was not so successful. But whatever preaching effort we do, any sharing of Krishna consciousness is so potent, it's so powerful. And that's why the Bhagavatam says it's the greatest welfare activity we can do. There is no greater welfare activity we can do than sharing Krishna consciousness. Because actually it gives, it helps the soul to again be reconnected with Krishna. And of course we all also somehow came in touch in this way with devotional service. Hare Krishna. Yes, so here again the stages, and basically that summarizes more or less the first part, which Srila Vaishnava Chakravarti Thakur describes. Any other question on this? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I have a question to the definition of pious activities, because I heard two versions. So the first version was, as you mentioned already, so it's like good activities. So it means like I do something for people, I help people, or I donate some money and so on. And the second version was that we have to see it from the position of the vision of Krishna, what does it mean, pious activities from the vision of Krishna? And then it's like to have faith in Krishna, so to be a religious person that is in pious activity. And that is the question, what does it mean? Because we see it everywhere, pious activity. So what does it mean exactly?
So you describe two kind of pious activities. One is more material and one is more religiously connected.
Yes, we could see it like this. And the question is, so, because for example, if you read Bhagavad Gita, then in many shlokas we see pious activities. And for me it's important to understand what does it mean.
Well, yes, I mean, pious activity means that we do some good deeds, and as a result we get some good karma as a result. Yeah, and often it is connected to religiosity, and like the whole Vedas, they are also as like it's described that the large part of the Vedas, there's different numbers given. 75% or 95% of the Vedas, they deal with karma kanda part. Basically, you did this yajna, this ritual, and as a result, you get this benefit. And then only a very small portion of the Vedas actually describe the higher goal, moksha. What to speak of bhakti? It's very small amount. It's rare. It's very, in a way, secret knowledge, which is not so. Available, or people are not so much aware of it, because mostly they are interested in this karma kanda activities, and we could question why is it like that. But the point is that most of the people are not interested in a higher goal. They're not interested in Krishna. They're interested in their own benefit, and that's why the Vedas give what people want. But in order to do the rituals and the homas and the yajnas, they have to come to the temple, they have to meet the brahmanas, and by associating with the brahmanas and hearing from the shastra, at some point they realize, there is a higher goal. So this is how the Vedas kind of attract them slowly. That's the kind of the step-by-step upliftment of the jivas. Because those jivas who are not pious, who are just acting according to their own desire and just sense gratification, as Prabhupada often would say, there's two-legged animals. They're actually on the level of animal. If you just follow your instinct and you don't have any religion, then you're not better than an animal. You don't have any quality of a human. Human life begins where there is some form of dharma, some form of religion. Then human life begins. Without dharma, there is we can't really speak of human life. And some form of dharma means some kind of ethic, morals, and some piety. And but at the same time, we know that piety and impiety, papa and punya, like in a journey of a conditioned soul, it's described like the samsara, the wheel of repeated birth and death. It rotates. And punya and papa is going up and down, up and down, up and down. That's meaning in one life we are pious, and then we enjoy, and then we become again sinful, and then we commit sin. Next life we are pious again, and it is sinful. So the jiva goes through this cycle of birth and death, and sometimes we are performing pious activities, sometimes sinful activities. But that in itself will just keep us going in that cycle. And that's why what is needed is yoga, or something which connects. We speak of yoga as soon as there is some connection with a higher reality. So karma yoga, nishkam karma yoga, and higher forms of yoga. And finally, of course, bhakti yoga, where there is some connection with a higher reality, then we make progress and we can advance. So in devotional service, piety in itself doesn't have so much value, because just to be a good person is not good enough. It's good to be good, but we need that connection with Krishna. That's why, and there comes spirituality, where we want to serve and connect with Krishna. So yes, there is different forms of piety. Some just general piety, being a good person, being moral, ethic, honest. I mean, there's many atheists. Many atheists, they're also pious. And they also claim we don't need religion. You can be a good person without religion. And in a way, it's true. I mean, to some degree. But then, religion usually helps people to be pious. But then the real duty of religion is then to show them a higher destination, which then connects them to Krishna. And that's the problem. Many religions are very material because they're just focusing on being a good person without that connection. Yeah. I'm not sure whether I answered your question, but
Thank you very
I
much.
try to say something in relation to your question. Yes.
Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita that some jivas are born in families where bhakti is very favorable.
Mhm.
They're born in aristocratic families or families who are well-to-do.
Devotees, yeah.
Yes. So how do we then understand this fact? Is it also then not? Is it not related with pious activities from previous life that the jiva gets born in certain families, or?
Of course, in general, according to our karma, we take place in different families. But this is Arjuna specifically asked, what happened to someone who performs spiritual life, devotional service, and then is not successful in his endeavor? And then Krishna speaks these shlokas and makes the point that by Krishna's mercy, such a person gets another chance in the next life. And Prabhupada makes this example of the spiritual bank balance. He says, just like a bank balance lost, and if you practice bhakti up to 11%, the next life you will be able to continue at that, then you 12%. So for that reason, Krishna will make sure that you can take birth in a family where you can continue on your journey. And of course, when we look at these stages of most of us already have been practicing devotional service in previous lives, and we already have attained some level. And in this life, we continue. No, we are reminded. We are waking up to our realization, and then we again continue where we left. But in that case, it's not just mundane piety, but it's because we have some spiritual bank balance. We have some bhakti credit. That's bhakti, mukhi sukriti. There's a difference between ordinary karma and bhakti sukriti. That's how I would understand. Yes.
I think that there must be the desire in these persons to look for God or something. So it's not just the mercy. The Krishna will then arrange all these, that the devotee meets this person and so on. There must be this desire, isn't it?
Yes, that's also described that if a soul in the heart develops a desire to come closer to God, then Paramatma, who is in the heart, will realize that there is a desire, and it's even described in Chaitanya Charitamrita that the Paramatma assumes the form of a sadhu and then appears in front of that devotee to instruct him and give mercy. So yeah, that's also there. From that side. So in a way, it's a combination of the jiva's desire, the devotee's mercy, and Krishna's arrangements. Like Guru and Krishna, they are like a team. Actually, it takes a lot to liberate the conditioned souls out of the cycle of birth and death. It takes a lot of endeavor. So Krishna makes many arrangements. He appears himself. He leaves Shastra behind. He has his devotees, acharyas, the sadhus, and it's a whole teamwork to somehow deliver someone. I can say. Yeah. Okay, so then we got some introduction on how the book was, developed by Srila Vishnavacharya Thakur based on the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, and also in the introduction how this question is raised, how Bhakti actually begins, and how the conclusion is that Bhakti is caused by Bhakti, and that the devotee is the carrier of that Bhakti. That we all have become devotees ourselves because we came in touch with some devotees, which their Bhakti inspired our own Bhakti. And of course it also means, it has also an implication for us that we can be carrier of Bhakti ourselves. No? Like when we go out in the world, when we share Krishna consciousness, then other people that come in touch with us, no, we can also, of course, we can only give what we have, right? That's the principle. The more Bhakti you carry in your heart, the more Bhakti you can also give to someone else, or the more you can awaken or inspire that devotion in their heart. So that's why purity is the force. It's important. The more we, Bhaktivinoda Thakur also makes a statement that the real Goshti Anandi is a Bhajan Anandi. We have these two kind of devotees. The Goshti Anandi is one who goes out and preaches. You know? Like Srila Prabhupada, at the age of 70 he went and traveled around the world till the very last breath. You know, completely, I mean, Prabhupada was such a powerful carrier of Bhakti. And in fact, there is in the Puranas, there is even a prediction that Bhakti, together with the Srimad Bhagavatam, will travel over the ocean and will spread. So Srila Prabhupada is that personality who actually carried Bhakti in his heart together with the Srimad Bhagavatam and spread it all over the world. So, and it's clear, if someone is so empowered as Srila Prabhupada, then the result is visible. Now I lost my thread. Ah, yeah, thank you. So Prabhupada was, in that sense, we can say a Goshti Anandi, a preacher, right? And our movement is a preaching movement. We encourage that spirit of sharing Krishna consciousness with everyone. But then the Bhajanandi is someone who is just retreat himself on a place and is chanting and studying and absorbing himself more for his own benefit. No? But then Bhaktivinoda Thakur says the true preacher is one who has done bhajan. Why? Because only if you have done bhajan, then you can also preach, you can give something. What did Bhaktisiddhanta do? He spent 9 years just chanting Hare Krishna. 9 years sitting in a hut, and he just chanted. I mean, it's incredible if you think about it. And also Srila Prabhupada, I mean, his whole life was a preparation to come to the West. You know, when he, I think the age of 22, he met Prabhupada and Bhaktisiddhanta. And his whole life he was meditating, how can I fulfill the instruction of my spiritual master? And of course, Prabhupada also studied Shastra and he was writing and then went to Vrindavan and preparing himself. He knew only when I have published the first part of Bhagavatam, I can go, I need Shastra before I preach. So Prabhupada prepared himself. So this is also interesting to understand that the more that's why it's nice you're doing Bhakti Shastri, going deeper into Shastra. Then we can also give something to others. If people ask us, we can reply, we can explain. So that goes hand in hand, that we go deep ourselves and then we also can share with others. But yeah, it's what I wanted to say is that to understand that we can be also carrier of Bhakti is a very beautiful and very inspiring principle, that we are called by Krishna to also be carrier of Bhakti and share with others. Yes.
As we you said, Bhakti comes from Bhakti. We come to know this from Madhurya Kadambin, and one thing that reminded me is the verse from Bhagavad Gita, 3rd chapter, wherein it says, "Asakto yacharan karma paramapnoti purushaha," which means that by getting detached from your actions, you can achieve the supreme.
Mm-hmm.
So, doesn't this actually contrast with the with our aspect that bhakti comes from bhakti, because if you're just doing your actions without attachment, that will lead you to supreme. That means that will lead you to bhakti, or in what sense, what kind of teaching is Krishna trying to give here?
As we mentioned in the very beginning, that the essential teaching of Gita is that bhakti is supreme. Like Krishna does explain many different processes of different stages of yoga, and Jnana Yoga is part of it, and Jnana Yoga is all about analyzing matter and spirit and detaching oneself through detachment. So that's part of Jnana Yoga. But then at the end, Yoginam api sarvesham madkatinantaratmanaha. No, Krishna says, almost in every chapter at the end, emphasizes the superiority or the power of bhakti, that the ultimate, what we should strive for, is devotion. Because in devotion, the other processes are included. And that's also interesting that there is like other process of devotional service, like karma and jnana, on their own, they're not able to give results. If you connect them with bhakti, then they give some result. And in Chaitanya Charitamrita, this shloka is described that like the nipple of a goat. You know, you have goats and they have an udder where there is milk, but on the neck they also have some nipple. If you try to get milk from the nipple, you know, no chance, nothing coming out. So similarly, if you try to get a result from karma or jnana or yoga, any other forms, you won't get a result. But if it's connected with bhakti, then some result will be there. But bhakti is completely independent. Bhakti doesn't require any other support. Bhakti in itself contains the other paths and brings the ultimate goal. So in that sense, it's not Krishna in the Gita, he teaches different levels, but ultimately always comes back to bhakti as the ultimate.
So can we just conclude that the bhakti yoga is just for the most intelligent people, and other kinds of yoga are for the less intelligent, because they give this kind of a fallacy statement that because Krishna has already said that karma without attachment can lead you to the supreme, so that's just my path and I'm trying to follow what's there in the Bhagavad Gita. So
Krishna says, Sarva dharma paritijya mamekam sharanam raja, give up all other kinds of dharma and just surrender unto me. There is no need to do something else. And once you become a devotee, once you surrender unto me, then that in itself will be the best thing you can do. So think of me, become my devotee, offer obeisances to me, worship me. That's what Krishna's instruction is for the best path that we should go. Yeah. Okay, I think then we had hopefully it was an interesting introduction, and this was just as I said, introduction, beginning, and from tomorrow on we actually will start with the 9 stages, which will be first Shraddha and Sadhusanga. Okay, thank you very much. Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Vaishnava Chakravarti Thakur ki jai, Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.